Hola mallorquinistas, ¿qué tal? Saludos y
Hi,
muy
Mallorca
buenas tardes.
fans. Welcome
Bienvenidos a
and
Noticias
good
Mallorca
afternoon.
Euskadi. Bienvenidos a
Welcome to
vuestra
Mallorca
casa en donde
Stadium.
hoy volvemos a abrir
Welcome
las
to
puertas de
your
este estadio
home,
para
where we are
otro
again
gran
opening
partido
our
el que va a
doors of our
jugar el Real
stadium
Mallorca a
to
partir de
another
las
big
2
match
de la tarde
against
ante el Club Atlético
from 2 p.m. this
Osasuna,
afternoon
un
against
rival evidentemente
Atlético
que va a ser
Osasuna.
seguro muy complicado, al que, bueno, pues
It will obviously
tradicionalmente
be
no
a
le salen bien las
complicated
cosas
rival
aquí,
to
pero
beat,
que
but
evidentemente pues se ha
usually they
empezado
do
también
not
bien
have
la
much luck
temporada.
here,
Tiene
but
8 puntos, los
obviously they
mismos que
have
el
started
Real
their
Mallorca, en la
season
misma
very
zona
well. They've got
ahora
8
mismo de
points,
la
the same as Mallorca
clasificación, así
team,
que hoy también va a
say
ser
in the
otro
same
de esos
area on the
partidos
classification board.
complicados. Os
So today
saludamos
will be
desde
another
nuestro set aquí de
complicated match.
comentaristas en el
We
Vice
are
Mallorca
greeting
Stadium,
you from our
en un día
commentators
de
box from
mucho
Mallorca
calor, la
Stadium.
verdad, de
It's a
muchísimo
very hot
bochorno.
day,
Esta noche pues
very
llovía,
humid
ahora
day
muchísimo
too.
calor, y vamos a ver, ¿no?, también la temperatura a la hora del
It's a very
partido, porque
rainy
esto también
night, very
pues
hot
puede
night,
pasar
and we'll see about
factura,
the
¿no?,
temperature now in the
tanto a los
match,
jugadores
because
de
obviously that can
Osasuna como
affect our
los
players as
jugadores
well,
del Real
both
Mallorca.
for Mallorca
En
players
breve, en
and
unos
Osasuna
minutitos,
players.
vamos a estar pendientes de la llegada de los dos equipos,
In
como
brief
siempre.
moments, we will
Vamos
be
a ver pues
awaiting the
todas
arrival
esas
of both
imágenes, ¿no?, que se van
teams,
produciendo en
and we'll
directo
be
desde la llegada
projecting
de
all
los
these
equipos
images
hasta todo
that
lo que
will
vaya
be
pasando aquí en el Vice
producing
Mallorca
themselves
Stadium. En
live.
principio, en pocos minutos está prevista la llegada del equipo rival, del Club Atlético
So
Osasuna. Y acto seguido
in
también
a couple of minutes, we'll
hará
be
su
waiting for the
llegada
arrival of
el
the
Real
rival
Mallorca,
team,
procedente desde su
Osasuna,
hotel de
and then after
concentración, el
them, the
equipo de Luis
Mallorca
García Plaza,
team.
que tiene ganas también de olvidar ya esa derrota dura y
Luis
dolorosa ante
García
el
Plaza's
Real
team
Madrid,
is
partido
excited and ready
evidentemente pues
to
va a salir bien las
to
cosas.
battle after
Osasuna,
that
que también viene
tough
de
defeat by
perder
Real
su
Madrid,
último
where
partido,
things
así que
did
bueno,
not go
pues
to
vamos a
plan.
ver, ¿no?, todos los
And they're
ingredientes
also bitter
sobre la
after
mesa.
losing
Tenemos
their
como
last
siempre una
match. So
previa pues
hopefully, we're
bastante
going to
larga,
put
en
all the
torno a
right
los 45
ingredients on the
minutos, para
table,
hablar
and there's going to
absolutamente
be
todo. Hoy además con un invitado
a
también
long,
muy
long
especial, a quien enseguida
pre-match
también
commentary.
saludamos en directo, pero pues te saludo también a ti, Juanjo Dobla, exjugador del Real Mallorca, comentarista de Play Red Live. ¿Cómo estás?
So here we are with ex-Mallorca player.
Bueno, pues
How
con
are
ganas,
you?
me imagino,
Hi, Danny.
de
How are
volver
you?
a ver una victoria al Mallorca, un punto de 9. Eran rivales complicados,
So
pero bueno,
ready
hoy
and
un buen
waiting
partido,
to
¿no?,
see another
para
victory from
intentar volver a
Mallorca,
asomar.
right? So it's a good match, no? To try and get back on track. Yes, as we said last week, it's a good match to try and after apart from getting a result and to get through another 3 points, to stay on the track, stay on the good line and the good beginning of the season.
Bueno, no sé si tenemos ya
And
algún tipo de
hopefully we
imagen
can
en
narrate
directo
a
desde
new
los
victory for
exteriores
Mallorca.
del estadio.
Let's see if we've got any live
Enseguida
images from the
vemos aquí, que
stadium.
dice cómo está ya el césped
Yep, we can see it
perfecto
here.
estado, y enseguida también pues vamos a
We can
saludar
see
a
the grass in
invitado
perfect
que vamos a
condition.
tener de lujo en el partido de hoy, regando ya, veis, el césped,
And we're
porque ya
also
ves
going
que
to say
hace
hi to
muchísimo
the
calor y luego
luxury
pues ahí un
guests that
poco
we're going to be having
encapotado,
here in the
un
match today.
poquito tapado. Y aquí en el
We
set de
have got a bit of a
comentaristas, como
heavy
decíamos, ¿no?,
sky
cada
because of the
semana pues
humidity and the weather.
nos gusta tener algún invitado. En el último partido en casa tuvimos unos minutitos
So
con nosotros
as
a
I said,
Marcos
we do
Sena,
like having some
miembro
guests. In the last
de la
match, we
expedición
had
del Villarreal,
Marcos
exjugador
Sena for a couple
del
of minutes
conjunto
from Villarreal,
amarillo y también de la selección española.
ex-player of the
Y
yellow
hoy, pues
team
bueno,
and
pues
and
hemos
from the
pensado,
Spanish
¿no?,
selection.
con
And
Alberto Salas,
today,
con el director de comunicación del club, pues ¿por qué no invitar a alguien que ha
Today
estado
we
en el
thought
equipo
with the
rival,
director of
para
communication,
que
Albert
pues nos dé
Salas, we
también
thought,
esa
why don't
otra
we have
parte?
somebody
Le
from the
tenemos ya
rival that
presentado
has been
en
on the
el set
rival
de
team?
comentaristas, mientras
So we've
vamos
got
viendo pues
them
un
here with
poquito
us.
la imagen del exterior del estadio, donde como siempre muchos mallorquinistas pues ya están
As we can
a la
see
espera de
images from the
la
outside of the
llegada
stadium, we
del
can see lots
equipo.
of Mallorca
Enseguida
fans
estaremos
awaiting the
pendientes
team's
de esa
arrival,
imagen de la llegada de los dos equipos, pero pues
excited and
empezamos ya, pues como digo,
impatient
a
for the
presentar a
arrival
este
of both
invitado
teams.
de
But
lujo, que no es
yeah,
otro
we'll
que
start
Carlos
to
Cuéllar,
present
exjugador, entre
our
otros,
special
del
guest
Club
for
Atlético
today, who is
Osasuna. Carlos, ¿qué
Carlos
tal?
Cuéllar,
Bienvenido.
Hola, muy
who
buenas,
is
muchas
an
gracias.
ex-player of
Efectivamente, acabamos
Osasuna
de
team.
sentar aquí, ya te metemos en directo. Bueno, pues muy contentos de
So
recibir
you've just sit
tu
down and we're
visita.
going
¿Cómo estás?
straight live.
¿Cómo
So
has
we're
llegado
really
aquí?
happy to
Bien,
receive
bien,
your
muy bien.
presence
Viaje
today.
fácil al final
So
del año
how was
y
your arrival to the
perfecto, todo
island?
muy cómodo,
Great.
muy
It was a good
sencillo. Nos
trip.
estáis tratando
Direct
genial, o
flight
sea
from
que
Madrid, very
perfecto.
comfortable,
Bueno,
easy,
depende del
and
partido,
I'm
no
settling in
tratamos en
great.
Bueno, he
So it
traído
was great.
espinilleras, ¿eh?
Vienes preparado, ¿no?
Vengo
So
preparado.
I
Me he
have
traído
brought my
alguna
shin
patata,
pads
reloj y
though, so
también.
I am
Serás
ready just in case I
un
get a
mitad de
kick from
esos
under the
contundentes,
table.
esos buenos, así que Juanjo, que era delantero, bueno,
So we know you're a
no te harás el
midfielder who's
partido,
very
yo
powerful
tampoco.
and sturdy
Bueno,
player,
Carlos,
so nobody
primero
dares
quiero
to give you a
preguntarte
kick.
un poco las
So Carlos,
sensaciones, ¿no?,
first of all,
que
I wanted
tienes
to ask you
al pisar este estadio.
about the
Creo que no jugaste
sensations that you
muchos
have
partidos, porque estas 4
about
temporadas
in the
en
stadium.
Osasuna, digo, con
I
la
don't
camiseta
think in your 4
de
seasons in
Osasuna
Osasuna
aquí,
you played many matches in
pero un
Mallorca.
poco, yo lo decía en la previa, ¿no?, históricamente no le ha venido bien a este estadio a Osasuna.
But as we've been saying, this stadium hasn't been very lucky for Osasuna historically, right? No, it hasn't. I think we've got to take into account the timetable, the climate. It's very different from Pamplona and Navarra. We've got different weather there because of the humidity. Until you start playing the match, you don't realize how much it's going to affect you. And yes, historically, it does really affect you to know that there's a stadium and a team that, never mind what you do, it seems like you're going to lose. And unfortunately for us, this is one of those stadiums. So we're just going to remember a couple of the last matches. So the last victory for Osasuna here was 15 years ago, and you were actually here. I don't know if you remember it. It was 1-1. Yes, as I said, they're always very, very tough matches, and it's always very difficult to begin. And then obviously the rivals always make everything more complicated for us as well. Well, that stat just says it all, really. 15, 16 years without winning here. I mean, yes, obviously there were matches in the second division, but we weren't able to win them. So, yes, that year there was, we haven't found the match online because we wanted to project some images of the goal in that particular match, but I don't know if you remember, but maybe it was a corner from Mallorca in the end and something about something to do with the goal. Yeah, I kind of remember, yes. Good memory. Yeah, it's one of those things where you never remember anything, but then suddenly you do remember everything about football. I guess it's something to do with the job and the passion. So how do you see the Osasuna team for today? Obviously, they've had a good start to the season. They've got 8 points. They have lost against something like teams like Betis. I actually see the team very well at the moment. I think they look much better than last season. I think they look much stronger, especially with the forwards. We needed another strong player, so with the arrival of Quique this year, I think the team feels much stronger. And we've also managed to get Manu Cedido again, who is the side left player. And I think they look really good. It is true that at home we're struggling this year, and it's usually the opposite. We seem to be stronger when we're away from home. Yes, that is strange, that in previous seasons, Osasuna has always been a team that always shone when they were playing at home. And now it seems that it's the other time. Yes, exactly. It seems that it's a bit the other way around. But I think those are good things too at the beginning of the season to start taking everything with a little bit of more philosophy as well. De una derrota dolorosa, empezamos ya a ver bengalas ahí en los exteriores del estadio, eso quiere decir que está a punto de llegar ese bus del equipo. We were saying that we've got, yes, we can see the black smoke outside the stadium, which means that the teams are about to arrive. So what do you think of Mallorca's performance recently? Yes, I think they look like a really a team that is ready, that they're really ready to treat the ball as well. And also, of course, they've been against Madrid and Barcelona. But I think that the players know that it was just the defeats were just accidents and that they are completely ready and capable. Me consta que Luis García sabe muy bien cómo manejar el tema psicológico del vestuario y van a salir a jugar sin ningún tipo de preocupación y sin ningún tipo de recuerdo de lo que pasó en el Bernabéu. So I think now they're going to have some good chats in the change room and they're going to be ready to go out fighting without worrying about the previous matches. Evidentemente. Bueno, pues hemos visto ahí. Ahora seguimos hablando con Carlos Cuéllar aquí en el set de comentaristas. Okay, so we have been watching the team. We're going to, we're continuing to talk to Carlos Cuéllar, ex-player of Osasuna team, and we're watching the entry of the Mallorca team. There's Luis García, the coach of Real Mallorca, Dani Rodríguez. Yes, in the last match in Bernabéu, with all the rotations that Luis García has done and with the 3 matches in 1 week. So obviously around an hour before the match, we will see the final lineup of the 11 players that Luis García has chosen. So here we go. We can see all the players coming in. Jaume Costa.
Que se va encontrando mejor, ¿no? Desde esos problemas físicos, ¿no? que tuvo en la pretemporada. Franco Russo, ¿no?
Who says he is feeling better from those physical problems that he had in the preseason. Franco Russo, who is not ready to play the beginning of this match, but it is good news that he is recovering. Antonio Sanchez also, who debuted in First Division and debuted in the season in Santiago Bernabéu, which is a dream come true for him.
Buena noticia, no, sin duda, para Luis García Plaza. Kang Lee, de quien también vamos a hablar en esta previa, porque dejó muy buenas sensaciones.
Kang Lee, who left some very good sensations in the previous match against Real Madrid, and Lago Junior, who had a great match as well. He had 3 good opportunities, and today he could do his 200th match in a Mallorca shirt, which is a very important stat as well. Abdon Prats, who managed to get 150 again with the Mallorca shirt on his back. Other player with Kubo and Gangin that got very good sensations in the last match. And Angel, who are we also recovering after the preseason. It is true that the beginning of this season is punishing Mallorca a little bit. We have had a couple of injuries, a couple of people who haven't been able to start their season as they would have liked to. It is in that sense we don't have the ideal the beginning of the season that the coaches would want of all the players, which for the coach is obviously unfortunate because you have to keep changing your lineup and putting other 11 ones, which touches your plans. It messes up your plans a little bit. But you've got to see where your strength lies and where you can find players that are going to substitute the values that those other players had.
Bueno, pues ya veis también esa otra cámara, ¿no? que tenemos en el túnel de acceso al vestuario del Real Mallorca. Ha cambiado un poquito desde que tú...
bastante. Sí. Mucho más bonito, ¿eh?
La verdad que, pues, bueno,
so here we are seeing the changing rooms of the Real Mallorca. It has changed a little bit.
Ahí están los jugadores del Real Mallorca. También Anabel de protocolo que se acerca al vestuario.
It's been modernized.
Pues nuestra mascota que también se ha puesto un poquito más fuerte de cuando tú venías por aquí. Le hemos puesto ahí a Régimen.
Here we can see the mascot on the street outside the stadium who is there to receive. Obviously, he's been working out at the gym. He seems a lot more muscly than the last time we saw him. So there he is, taking some pictures with some young fans. I actually think these small kids were in the last documentary we made on Real Mallorca. So, Juanjo, we're talking a little bit here with Carlos Cuellar, and we're remembering things as well and waiting for OSASUNA team to arrive to the stadium, which we expect in a few minutes. What are you feeling about today's match? Well, so the feeling today are great. But obviously when we have a tough blow, like the defeat against Madrid, it means that there's a lot of work to do in the change rooms. Like Carlos said, the mister knows how to manage these kind of defeats, but it is a tough blow. We have to take this result and the match as well, and know that you have injured players. But I think we know we have very strong players in this change rooms that know how to stand up against tough situations, and today is the best stage to show that on. OSASUNA, as they've said, have had some good away results recently, but they haven't been great at home, so they're not in their best moment ever. So I think it would be a tough thing because both of them are going to give all they've got. So as well, Juanjo, apart from remembering the victories and going for that 9th point in the league that both teams are looking for.
Ante, pues ya digo, pues dos buenos rivales evidentemente, pero son Osasuna y Levante, y luego el calendario pues se vuelve a complicar, ¿no? Con dos salidas fuera como son
So we've now got 2 rivals on the trot with Osasuna and Levante, and then the calendar gets even more difficult with San Sebastian and Seville. So we need to get back into that points dynamic, right? Yes, as we've been saying, there are teams such as Mallorca with a profile such as theirs that needs to get as many points at home as they can.
nuestro feudo, nuestro sitio donde consigamos los mayores puntos. Y sobre todo con esos rivales que,
because home is the place where we do get the majority of our points, and also against the rivals that are our main contrincants in the league.
Sobre todo aquí en casa, independientemente de quién sea el rival, porque ya lo adelantó muchas veces el entrenador.
So at home, it's very important, never mind who the rival is, because it's where we need to make the most of reducing all these bad dynamics and bad techniques and tactics. So it's here we need to get at the beginning of the season good results, good techniques, so that we can hopefully evolve in a different way. So it is 31 minutes past 12, and we're still waiting for Osasuna's arrival in the next few minutes to the stadium. Here we are live. And we're also awaiting the words of the second coach of Real Mallorca to know how he is feeling after that tough defeat against Real Madrid that we had this week. It is a tough week. It's a week with 3 matches, and as the coach has said, the good thing about playing so many matches in 1 week, the good thing is, again, is to then have that feeling inside you for the players of wanting to come out and fight again.
Ya viene el rival, viene el enemigo, Nosotros además hoy lo hemos invitado un poquito aquí, lo hemos traído un poquito aquí a la mesa a ver si no.
So we are aware the rival is on its way, and we've gone one step further and invited the rival here to the table with us today. So he'll be here with us until 2 o'clock. So it's obvious that both teams are going to be wanting to take home the title today, to take home the win. So Carlos, let's talk a little bit about your journey in Osasuna. You had a 4-year season, a 4-year contract with them.
Wow.
So how do you remember that time of your life? Oh, I have very fond memories of it. I think it was lucky that I had my time in Osasuna coincided with the best time for the club in general. We played lots in Europe with very good international rivals. We got to the Copa del Rey final. We got to quarterfinals in the Europeans. You're not really aware of how of the moments that you're experiencing while you're living them, and then you look back and you think, wow, look at that! I lived that through the history of the club, and to manage to get to quarterfinals of the league and to play in the Champions League, which is something that will always stay with me. So here we can see the entry of Osasuna team to the stadium. So obviously we've been trying to refresh our memory about the Osasuna team, because obviously in Mallorca we've got all the facts, but Osasuna not so much. So it is true that in Carlos's time in Osasuna they were a very strong team.
El pilar del equipo, ¿no? Porque lo que hablábamos, muchos partidos se complicaba o que no te alcanzaba el juego para sacar esos puntos, y ahora ya no se puede decir pelotazo, ahora ya es un pase orientado largo.
No es un balonazo,
pues él bajaba todo y nos daba mucha.
Yes, there were some key players that used to save the matches in that time in Osasuna. We had very strong players that would manage to bring everything to the forefront.
Empezamos ganando 0-1 jugando con 10, que rápido.
We did have a match that we started with 10 players and we ended up drawing in the Bernabeu. That was a very good result.
Otro nombre propio, Pachi Puñal.
Pachi Puñal.
Madre mía,
Como se dice.
Another name, Pachi Puñal.
Que el escudo ahí.
Yeah, he's a very, very veteran player now. So it was just strange to say that name, and then that was always the eternal captain of the team. Raúl García just happened to start as well to play that year with us, and he was training, and then he became a player, and then with around 16, 17 years old, he started to play with us and stayed ever since. Yes, Raúl García gave the impression of being a forwarder, and then just it's incredible to look how many goals he's scored since then in different teams. Yes, he actually came up from us from the youth teams, and he's ended up being forward, midfielder, lots of positions. I think he's above the average of quality in the sense that he has a lot of confidence. He's a very strong player. He's a very good person as well. In his years with Atlético de Madrid, he always just came out and then just went there and scored straight away. Yet he was always there, very strong member. So Carlos Cuellar, who saw that glorious time of the Osasuna team. So then you were in Rangers and then also in Aston Villa, 2 years in Sunderland team. So how did you experience that in the Premier League? Well, that was a dream for me. One of my dreams since I was a kid was to play in the Premier League, and to play with Osasuna in Europe was what opened the doors to the Scottish Scouts. I thought with Osasuna we did a quarter-final and we drew at home. And it just happened that the coach wanted to get some new players, and I had one of the best matches of my life, and that gave me the opportunity then to go to Scotland. So the Premier League is a dream for any player. So I was in Soria, and for me it was like a trampoline for then for further success. And I was going for in Soria in second division. I went for a test in Leeds United.
Y descienden, pero sí me salió la oportunidad, la saqué, bueno, pues por unas cosas otras al final no cuajó, pero bueno, llegué a
So the opportunity wasn't successful in the end, but in the end I managed to get my aim. So look at the CV on this guy here, on Carlos Cuellar. So how was the English for the first couple of months? It was difficult. I was in Scotland, so if you go with a basic level, it's very difficult. I was lucky enough to have Nacho Novo there with me. So he was a bit of the host to me, and he made everything a lot easier for me. And the food was a bit difficult to get used to at the beginning. Yeah, because the north of Spain is famous for their good food, but over there, I was going for breakfast and I was getting baked beans. And so recently there was the 20th anniversary of the first match of the Champions League. So we were talking about. So we did a small documentary and we talked about Arsenal players. So, and there were lots of complaints about the British food as well. So yes, when I was there, I was always looking for an Italian restaurant to go to have a bit of a change from the food that I was getting given. When you hear stories like this, you understand how difficult it is for a foreign player to come when they arrive in a Spanish team. They don't have that support, especially if they don't know any of the players, because they had to get used to the weather, to the language, to understanding the other players on the pitch, which is something very necessary. Sometimes it feels like we ask players to be able to be at 100% from the first day that they're here, and it's very difficult. Yes, it's very complicated. The language barrier is very hard because there's a lot of slang as well, and the changing rooms, day-to-day language is different. You feel a bit isolated. And it's hard when you see that adaptation process gets longer and longer. Yes, so along the lines of what you're saying. So our new players have started to get hands-on with their Spanish too. So the players are saying how they hear other players make a joke or make comments, and they don't understand it. So that is an important point, an important factor. Yeah, of course. If you know your colleagues, your teammates, then you start understanding the inside jokes and all the comments and everything. So you feel part of the team and part of that changing room banter. If not, obviously, even if it's involuntarily, you're going to isolate and shut yourself out, and that is present on the pitch as well. So obviously that's very noticeable then in the team. Yes, so obviously we know that football is universal. Once you're on the pitch, everybody's the same, it's just another player. But of course it's much easier if you understand your fellow teammates. So he's still here with Carlos Cuellar, remembering very good moments, and we'll be here with him until the match is over. We hope that you enjoy the match, which will be broadcast from 2 p.m. and which will be on our YouTube channel as well as our FIBWE channel.
Movistar en Orange, para que pues podáis tener todas esas ventanas abiertas, y también los partidos de casa también a través de la plataforma de la Liga.
And you can also watch our matches on the La Liga platform. So we've got plenty of options for you to watch the match from home.
Escucharemos también, como decían, a Pedro Rostoy, la mano derecha de Luis García Plaza, quien siempre nos gusta.
So we'll be hearing from Pedro Rostoy soon, Luis Garcia's right-hand man, to hear how he's feeling again about the match, especially in a week with so many matches, such an important week, and after the tough defeat against Real Madrid. Around 1 p.m. we will be looking at the lineup of Real Mallorca for today. So we'll be taking a look at the players that are going to be introduced for today's match, which ones are playing again. For example, we know that Take Kubo is not going to be with us for the next couple of weeks, and there's also, we will be talking lots about other players such as Lago Jr. in the next couple of minutes. So as we've seen, the good news is there are players such as Angel or Franco Russo who, little by little, are recovering slowly and starting to reincorporate into the team. So which is good to start seeing these players again. So we've got some images of our stadium from outside.
Y la verdad, pues ahí tenemos ya algunas imágenes. Lo comentamos siempre en la previa, Carlos, ¿no? Ese momento cuando los jugadores llegáis ahí un poquito con el bus, con la tensión. Estos momentos, ¿no? Nos gusta siempre comentarlo, ¿no? De cuando salís al campo, estos momentos de charla, de tomarse un café. ¿Cómo los vivías tú también?
Bien, venían bastante bien, porque en el autobús vienen muy
So talk me through these moments pre-match.
En el hotel,
Well, I remember them very fondly. Obviously, you're very concentrated. You're thinking about all the ideas and all the conversations that you've had, and then you get into the changing rooms, and then you're ready for it. You start relaxing a little bit, and then that's when you start doing a couple more jokes, and kind of seeing how your teammates are feeling. And it's a nice feeling before the match.
Pie de campo, ¿no? De los jugadores, pues, de OSASUNA, los jugadores del Mallorca, que de momento pues están ahí dentro de su vestuario, que pues de un ratito empezarán ya a aparecer sobre el césped.
So as we can see, OSASUNA's players here, Mallorca's players are inside their changing rooms, and shortly they will be appearing on the pitch. So the heat is something that we have worried about, because especially at this match being at 2 p.m. So we hope there would be a different temperature by now in the year, but yes, it's tremendously high temperatures. Yes, it is very complicated, because I don't think people are aware that on the physical strain that it is to play at this time in comparison to playing, for example, at 8 p.m., especially with all the sun that's beating down on the players. So physically it's much more complicated. We're trying to acclimatize ourselves. We're doing more training sessions at that time of the day so that the players are aware of what it is to suffer at that time of the day. But it is very difficult. Yes, it's complicated. So for OSASUNA, it doesn't matter if they start training at 2 p.m. It's not going to be. They're not going to be able to acclimatize themselves that quickly. Yes, of course. Once they start running, just everything changes. You know, the humidity, the hydration. And yes. The first 20 minutes is going to be very difficult for both teams until they manage to get they get used to the rhythm of the match, especially with the heat. So as soon as you can smell that heat from the grass and feel it on your body as well, that's going to affect players too. It is complicated. If these timetables stay the same for the rest of the season, it will be a handicap for many teams as well as they come and play in a stadium like this. So we've got a referee that is the first time that they are recording with Mallorca team.
Iglesias, Castellano Leonés y el cuarto árbitro Pérez Hernández. Hoy en el bar, Iglesias Villanueva y Muñiz Ruiz. Bueno, pues ya habéis viendo, poquito a poco esas cámaras, ¿no? que tenemos, esos reencuentros, ¿no? Vamos echando el delegado. El otro día hacía una broma con él, Juanjo, me decía, he venido 2 veces al Bernabéu. Una como jugador me metieron 5 y una como delegado me metió 6. Le dije, no puede volver.
Hay que dejarle en casa.
No puede volver.
Que lo vea desde la tele.
So we're seeing some images here of people meeting each other, seeing each other again also after some time.
Pero hay que volver una tercera vez. Hay que volver una tercera vez y ganar. que eso es lo que nos gustaría a todos. Además nos tenemos que quitar ese mal sabor.
So we're here now for a third time, and we're here to win. That's what we want. Obviously, we want to take that sour taste away from our mouths as well, and for the other matches this week. So we've just seen an image of Luis García Plaza going onto the grass, which is something that we know that he is very fond of, to go out and have a look at the grass and see how it is. Here we can see him touching it a little bit, and
Da envidia, qué pena no poder estar ahí,
Yo te veo fino, Carlos.
It does look amazing, though. I am quite jealous of not being able to play as well. But at least we're here to be able to cheer them on and clap for them.
El otro día también, ¿no? Pues cuando volvíamos, ¿no? de Madrid, pues decía que algún amigo.
So the other day, as we were coming back from Madrid, and obviously there were people messaging him saying, well, you know, good luck to the players, and they were saying, what about good luck to the coach? Eh? Who sends those kind of messages?
No, pero sí que es cierto, a ver, reciben palos también los jugadores, pero en este caso.
But it is true, of course. The players get a lot of criticism, but at the same time, the coach really receives a lot as well, and especially in this case, is.
Y cerrarse en bloque en defensa, pero esa esencia nunca la ha perdido el Mallorca.
So he's been criticized for they need to improve their attack and also their defense.
Su carácter, cuál es su estilo. Sí que es verdad que no te puedes ir a lo loco cuando juegas con según quién. Pero a mí de las cosas
It is true that you can't go all out when you're playing against certain teams, but that's something that I did actually like, and I really liked about that coach, that essence that he's given to that team, and the players have really risen to that challenge, and they went out all guns blaring. It was a tough defeat, but it's us, it's our team. Yeah, it is important. I think that's the message that the coach was sending, was that he was confident and that he trusted his players and that he thought they really could beat Real Madrid, and he wasn't going to change those tactics. I think that on a psychological level for the players is very important as well. We've seen a lot of coaches who, against certain teams, they kind of take a step back and stay on standby, and I think that was very good for the Mallorca players as a psychological message. I think it can, if not, it can confuse you. It's very important what you're saying, actually. Like Luis García Plaza was saying, he was talking about 14, 17 arrivals from Mallorca, and he said they've played and they haven't even gone past the halfway line on the pitch. So he thinks it's a good way to learn for future matches as well, to not go out so all out at the beginning. Yes, I think the message that you're sending to the players is extremely important as well. I think physically, all the players are on the same level. I think it's the mentality and the confidence that the players have that really marks the difference.
De peligro, eso a la hora de transmitir el vídeo para analizar hoy el partido lo tienes que utilizar en plan bien, decir, estamos haciendo las cosas bien, es verdad que es el Madrid, pero si seguimos por esta línea, mira, al mejor equipo, uno de los mejores del mundo, les hemos puesto en peligro.
Y además que
I think it's important that they did put in danger one of the best teams in the world. Yes, I think from the coverage as well, I think Madrid had one of their best matches of the season so far. Everything went well for them, everything went wrong for us.
Es decir, hubo fallos importantes en defensa.
There were mistakes, of course. There were obviously defense mistakes, but Madrid was on form. It was the best Madrid that I've seen recently. So here we are still with the pre-match, as the pitch is getting ready and the warm-up is being prepared as well.
Estas cámaras, y aquí con Carlos Cuellar, ¿no? Es jugador de OSASUNA, también recordando diferentes momentos.
We're still here with Carlos Cuellar, ex-OSASUNA player, and we're remembering several moments from him. So let's remember about a victory of Mallorca against OSASUNA.
Aquí fue muy querido porque la verdad es que le costó al principio porque se lesionó, pero después la que fue un jugador también muy importante, como era Jonas Gutiérrez, el galgo.
So Jonas Gutierrez was a very important player here in Mallorca and also in the Premier League. Yes, I played with him in my Sunderland days because he was in Newcastle. He lived there, and we would meet up quite often. Chisco as well. Yes, we'll talk about Chisco as well. What a journey as well as a player.
La verdad que con ganas también de volver a ver al capi del Real Mallorca. Vamos a recordar ese gol de Jonas Gutiérrez que marcó ante Osasuna.
Let's remember Jonas Gutierrez's goal against Osasuna, which was in 2006-2007 season, which, yes, obviously it's always been difficult for Osasuna to try and beat Mallorca here. And Jonas left a celebration for the memories because he dressed up as Spider-Man for the celebration. I think we're not allowed to do that anymore, because obviously the celebrations are more restricted now after scoring a goal.
En esa temporada 2006-2007, ese gol que marcó, como digo, en la victoria 3-1 ante
But yes, in that 3-1 victory, that goal and celebration was remembered and celebrated by his teammates at the time. What a player Jonas was. Yes, he was unstoppable. Yeah, here's some images from that match in question. And Ricardo is a goalkeeper. What a goalkeeper as well. It was a mythical team. It was full of legends. And here's Jonas's goal now. So there he goes with the diagonal and straight to the back of the net. And there's the celebration. And a Janko goal as well, I think. Yes, and where it was. I don't know if there for that season, if you were there in that match. Yeah, I don't think I was. I think from the images I'm seeing. So yeah, then Jonas, obviously he bulked up when he went to the Premier as well, and yes, he left Spain with 84 kilos, and he was weighing 90 after 6 or 7 months in Scotland, and then even more when he was in the Premier League. It became a thing that the shorter players became very, very bulked up and very muscly, and yes, it was very difficult then to tackle him, and they love the tackles, and they love the shoulder by shoulder technique. So it's almost more important that you shoulder them until they're off the pitch than that you actually score a goal. So were they very focused on strength training? No, actually, in the week time there was a lot of football focused training, very fast, a lot of possession training. It was very intense. You came in at 8 a.m. and sometimes you were leaving at 3 or 4 p.m. So then in the afternoon, the people that needed to bulk up, we had a specific training program in the gym. Yeah, you need to be strong to be in the Premier League. I think in my time they did have strength training, but there wasn't that much doing in the gym. We did a couple of squats, a bit on the running machine, but yeah, it has really evolved since then. Obviously, I'm talking about the late 90s. And we would do 3 sessions a week. We would just do loads of running for the first session. I've tried to erase that from my memory. Yeah, obviously in pre-season you would never even see the ball. You'd just go up the mountains and start running around the countryside. And then the second sessions, which would always be to go to the gym and do a bit of strength training. It wasn't particularly impressive. And then in the evening we would touch the ball, but no, now you don't run without the ball. You get some weird looks if you go running without the ball now. So we'll be with Pedro Rostoy in very briefly.
Ya tengo ahí confirmada, pero que os la voy a guardar ahí a secuestrar hasta la 1 del mediodía que os conozco. Bueno, pues ahí vemos esa imagen también de Raillo y de Pepe allá. Juanjo, la verdad es que mira que es complicado ese inicio de partido. A mí me gustaría, ¿no?, que esto no le marque, ¿no?, a Gallá.
So obviously all the beginnings of matches are always a bit difficult, but I would really like them to come back for today from the slippery slope that they've been on this last week. I hope and I think they will have done some psychological work with these players this week. Something that obviously I'm quite upset about is what has
Plaza de
happened
Toros
to
será
the.
complicada, el Bernabéu, con todo lo que implica, con ya el público que tenías en las
So
gradas.
Bernabeu, with the audience they had and everything that entails, and for him to. Oh, because we're live, we're going to go to Pedro Rostoy.
Estamos ya con Pedro Rostoy, segundo entrenador del Real Mallorca.
Hello, we're here with Pedro Rostoy, second coach of Mallorca team, to talk about the match against Osasuna. Hi, good morning. Match that we played at 2 p.m. today. It's a bit hotter than the other day. How do you see the team? Well, they're ready. They're looking forward to it after the terrible result that they had the other day. So they're excited about coming out and playing again and restoring the image.
OSASUNA con exactamente el mismo puntaje que el Mallorca. Viene también de una dura derrota.
So we've got Osasuna today exactly in the same points as Mallorca and also coming from a defeat, but obviously their defeat was in their home in Pamplona. So what difficulties do we have to keep in mind? Well, it's a very physically strong team, Osasuna. I think they put a lot of the ball a lot in your side of the pitch. And we need to avoid their quick attacks, so we need to see if we can dominate the ball for longer and try and put the ball in their half of the pitch for more time.
Esa entrada del portero Grave Dominic en la portería en lugar de Manolo Reina. ¿A qué se debe ese cambio? Supongo que la acumulación de partidos.
So we've got the Grave Dominic in the goalkeeper's position instead of Reina. So it's an opportunity for a Mallorca shirt for him. Yes, of course. We've had 3 matches in a week and we try and get people out as fresh as possible. And as I said the other day, there's a lot of equality here. And it's always good to change and try new things. And we're just making the most of him being fresh to give him the opportunity. Have you spoken to him and with Manolo? Yes, of course.
Que repetiría con Oliván Martin Valien en ese eje de la defensa.
So on the defense, we're repeating players again. Yes, he liked how they worked the other day, and as some of the other players are not ready to play for 90 minutes, we're going to stick with our defense line. So thank you very much, good luck, and hopefully we can enjoy the points later. So those are the words of Pedro Rostoy of the match is going to begin at 2 p.m. Thank you to Luis Seone, and with that interview with Pedro Rostoy.
Algún titular importante de esa alineación del Real Mallorca que pues enseguida os cuento, pero vamos ya a empezar a comentarla también antes de cerrar la primera pausa para la publicidad. Bueno, Juanjo, pues cambio de portero en el día de hoy. La verdad es que siempre son las cosas.
So there's a change in goalkeeper for the day today. It's one of those things that sometimes does surprise us.
Primera oportunidad para Dominic de debutar con el Mallorca.
But yes, it's a first opportunity for Dominic to debut for Mallorca.
Luis García Plaza, que todo el mundo va a tener su oportunidad de jugar, ¿no? Pues en esta ocasión
yes, something that Luis García Plaza always maintains. Everybody's going to have their opportunity to play. Today we're going to enjoy watching Dominic, who's the first match we're going to be able to see him in. See, you know, because you talk a lot with the lineup. We could see from the reports that we were receiving that everything was going very well for him. So we'll see how he works with his feet as well. Yeah, I think it's something that I think having Kike or Chimi as forwarders it's important to have a goalkeeper that you can feel confident in. And yeah, one of the strengths of Osasuna is how good their time management is. To have them a good, strong, big goalkeeper is something that will give us some confidence. Obviously, it's let's hope that his debut goes as he would wish, as he dreams, with a victory. So let's look at the lineup of. So we've got Dominic Graves as goalkeeper.
Oliván que repite también ahí en esa posición de central, con Joan Sastre en el lateral derecho, con Baba siempre ahí en esa zona de contención. Como decíamos, hoy va a jugar su partido número 100 con la camiseta del Real Mallorca, también una cifra importante, se convierte en centenario mallorquinista también el ganés del Real Mallorca, con Salva Sevilla, que vuelve al 11, y Dani Rodríguez, que tampoco jugó.
So Salva Sevilla is coming back in 11, and
creación con Amat Ndiaye tirado en una banda, Kangin Lee en la otra, y hoy vuelve a ser el delantero centro del equipo Fer Niño. Bueno, pues este es el 11 del Real Mallorca. Primera valoración, Juanjo, ¿qué te parece? Pues,
so we're waiting for the lineup to appear on the screen for the final 11 chosen to play today for Real Mallorca. So what do you think of it? So I think it's a team with a lot of potential. I think that second attack line,
unos jugadores muy importantes y muy interesantes porque
they're important and they're interesting players as well. I think both Ahmad and Gankin are players that have had a long journey and that they dare to go one-on-one, and we can make the most of those. And then Fer Niño, who must be very looking forward to playing again after last matches, and also because he's rearing to get the goal as well. He's hungry to score. And I think on the offense, it will be a dangerous lineup. In the midfield, obviously, they're looking very strong too. They're players that need to be assisting constantly. We need long possessions from Mallorca today. I think that is the way to damage OSASUNA's defense more. And we know about the defense line already. They're players that work well together. They're slowly taking the reins of the game. We know what our player on the right can offer as well.
Así que me parece muy buen 11, 11 peligroso, y esperemos que le salga bien la jugada a Luis García Plaza.
Carlos Cuellar es jugador de OSASUNA, te pregunto también por ese 11 del Real Mallorca, ¿qué te parece?
Pues un poco lo que veníamos comentando en la línea.
So Carlos Cuellar, what do you think about Mallorca's lineup? So yeah, basically on the lines that we'd already similar to the lineup for Madrid.
Es primordial, sobre todo para esa posesión, para mantener la pelota, todo
good on the offense.
Va a pasar por él y es un jugador muy importante. Luego en esas jugadas de contraataque,
all the time of play is going to go through Sevilla. I think he's an essential player, and he's also going to give that freedom to the players that are ahead of him to attack more freely. So we're going to talk about the 11 from OSASUNA, but first we're going to publicity first of all. It is 3 minutes past 1. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back live.
El Real Mallorca y el OSASUNA en esta séptima jornada de la Liga Santander.
És el meu cor malferit que demana acció.
Un amor sense barreres davant meu ha cobrat vida.
Ja aviam què passa, ja aviam què passa. No sé què passa, ni per què passa, però sempre em passa.
Grupo Escribano. Somos especialistas en reformas y fachadas. Financia ahora el 100% y paga en 12 meses sin intereses. Para importes desde 200 euros hasta 200.000 euros. 0% TAE. Grupo Escribano.
Bueno, pues ya vamos a estar de vuelta aquí en el Visi Mallorca Stadium en esta
So
jornada
we are back
7
here
de la
in
Liga
Mallorca Stadium for the
Santander. El
7th
partido que
leg
arrancará a
of the
las 2
Santander
de la
League,
tarde.
the
De
match that will
momento
start at
pasan
2 p.m. this
jugadores todavía
afternoon.
sobre el césped del Visi Mallorca Stadium para iniciar ese calentamiento. Os hemos contado
So
ese 11
no
del Real
players
Mallorca.
yet
Hemos
on the
analizado un
match
poquito
on
pues
the
las
pitch to begin
novedades
their warm-up, but
del equipo
we've
de
been
Luis
talking
García
about the
Plaza.
novelties
Como digo,
of
pues
Luis García
importante
Plaza's
sobre
team
todo ese
today.
cambio en
Obviously, they're
la
important,
portería.
especially
Y
with
bueno,
the
pues
change
volvemos a
in
tener ese 11
from
de Osasuna
goalkeeper.
que vamos a comentar también con Carlos Cuellar,
And we're
porque
about
también hay
to
cambios
comment
evidentemente
on
en el equipo
Osasuna's 11
de
as well, because of
Joseba
course there have been
Arrasate.
changes
Una semana
in
también
their
intensa
team
de
also.
partidos. Osasuna que va a jugar con Herrera
They've
en
also
la
had an
portería, línea de 4
intense
en defensa
week
con
of
José David García
matches.
Aridane y Areso en el lateral derecho, en el medio campo con
So we
Íñigo
have
Pérez, jugador
Ereso
también
on the
del
defense
Real
on the
Mallorca, que
right.
se va a colocar en principio en esa banda izquierda con Oyer y Moncayola ahí en el doble pivote, con Jaime Martínez también, y arriba
We've
pues
got
dos
Ayer and
hombres también
Moncayola as well,
importantes,
and Brasnak
con
and
Darko
Avila
Drašanović
and
y
being
con el Semi
forwards.
Ávila, ¿no? Que todavía no se ha estrenado esta temporada y que bueno, pues al menos nosotros esperamos que no se estrene hoy. Pero bueno, Carlos Cuellar, ¿qué te parece este equipo que ha
So
sacado
Carlos
Osasuna?
Cuellar, what do you think of this team that Osasuna has brought out today? Well, I'm quite surprised, especially out of the on the right-hand side of the incorporation on an away match, in a complicated match where we will need strong players, and we know that Mallorca is good on the offense. I think that's quite a risk, bringing in this guy. And I'm also surprised by Íñigo Pérez, because I think because just out of I think he will be going into the center.
Intentará ganarle la partida por ahí al Mallorca, quizá la posesión, añadiendo un falso extremo que se va a meter hacia adentro para ocupar espacio.
And maybe by going inside, going into the center, they will be able to combat Mallorca's strong offense. I'm not sure.
De Chimi Ávila llegando de segunda línea, que es lo que mejor se le da.
¿Qué te parece a ti, Juanjo, este equipo?
Bueno, pues estaba
What do you think about this team, Juanjo?
También, como él decía,
So I was trying to compare a little bit. So it's another team that brings in important rotations from the last match. The strong points of this team are the ones we've already talked about. It's a very physical team that is going to get a lot out of the hypothetical faults that we can get from the Mallorca team. What you were talking about of the right-hand side player of Osasuna, I think if he's a strong player and he is going to dare on those 101s, he's going to be an interesting match considering these players. So here we've got we can hear some applause from the audience that slowly comes into the match to watch De Graaf begin his warm-up as goalkeeper. Obviously, because of the restrictions, there is still a restricted amount of people in the audience. But of course, all those members of Mallorca who have the membership, of course, they can always have their guaranteed tickets. But there were also more places for other people who simply wanted to come and watch the match.
Veía aquí a Juanjo hacerle un gesto con la mano diciendo es que muy alto, Dominic, ahí lo está viendo Carlos.
Here I can see Juanjo saying how tall he is. Yes, imagine, look how tall he is without putting his arms up. Imagine when he's inside the goal and he stretches his arms up, he is going to be extremely tall.
Seguramente no contaba, ¿no? Pues sabemos que Reina es inamovible, pero bueno, quizá ahí la estrategia ahora es.
We thought Pepe Reina was unmovable, but
es que yo creo que van por ahí.
Esa salida, sí.
Exacto, yo creo que esta es un recambio clave, ¿no?, en el partido de hoy. Aparte, mucho más allá de lo que el míster tenga pensado de dar descanso a Manolo Reina, yo creo que el hecho de que
I think apart from Manolo Reina having the rest for today as goalkeeper, I think they know that in the air balls that come from Osasuna, which is one of their strong points, I think that's also part of his decision to put in De Graaf because of his height.
Que hace y que generan acciones muy peligrosas.
Bueno, pues a ti te lo podemos decir ahora porque sabemos que no se lo vas a decir.
ya no llego a ti.
Oh, we can tell.
Pero nosotros precisamente no defendemos muy bien esos balones aéreos y hay que sacar provecho, pues en este caso
We do know, we've got to say, we have to admit that we don't particularly defend those air balls well. But yes, this is one of the most important pieces of news about the match, that we have a change in goalkeeper and we're having De Graaf. It is going to be his first official match for Mallorca with the Mallorca shirt. He did also have some slight injuries during the pre-season, but we hope that he is fully recovered for this match. We've got Manolo Reina on the bench.
Titular el día de hoy en el Real Mallorca, dejó pues la verdad que muy buenas sensaciones en el Santiago Bernabéu. No todo tenía que ser malo del partido ante el Real Madrid, y no es otro que Kang In-lee, ¿no? Que va a ser titular en el
So we're talking about Kang In-lee, who is also going to be playing today, who gave some really good sensations in the match against Real Madrid. Because of Take Kubo is going to be off injured for the next couple of weeks, that means that this player is going to have a lot more protagonism. He's going to be more of a main character in the matches. There is a goal from Take Lee. You can see Madrid's goalkeeper angry at the goal being conceded. Yeah, what a goal. We were commenting on it live the other day, but yes, it was a great kick. Yeah, it was a great thing for Mallorca.
Y descarga muy bien de cara hacia Kang In-lee y luego él ya hace el resto. La jugada es muy bonita. Yo creo que hubo cosas muy buenas en ese partido. El hecho de que
I think there were some very good things in that match. And I think Hopi and Kang In-lee getting acquainted with each other and knowing how each other works is a very important thing for Mallorca as well. I think today's match for him needs to again settle in the things that he already did again in El Bernabeu. These players that are different, that are daring, that can bring something new to the table, are very important right now. And it's what Mallorca needs to make the most of right now and take advantage of. Players that are really ready to show their worth to the coach, to the fans, to the rest of their teammates. So Kang In-lee already did show in Valencia that he is a quality player. So even though he is very young, he is a very disciplined player. Yes, he's daring as well, which is a very important thing nowadays. Yeah, he's got his head screwed on. He sees and he understands the message. He likes to have his support points close, and if not, then he drives forward and he dares. And he creates very dangerous situations for the other team. There were lots of matches for Mallorca where we get to that three-quarter point and then we were driven back again. So it's really good to have those these players that are going to, same as Amar, same as Take, that have interrupted this continuity. But they are players that really alter the balance of other teams.
Decimos, momento importante para Kang In-lee. Bueno, pues también puede tener sus oportunidades las próximas semanas. Lago Junior, ¿no? Uno de los jugadores.
Let's talk about Lago Junior too, another important name. Player that has the most most matches played for Mallorca in the team. He's been here for a very long time. He will be on the pitch for a certain time today.
En el Santiago Bernabéu, porque la verdad es que tuvo hasta 3 oportunidades, la verdad es que bastante buenas.
Hay una asistencia que le hace Kang In-lee de tacón, de espuela, que le deja así hacia adentro, que tira de fuera del área, que es una jugada también muy bonita.
Bueno, pues vamos a ver si mis compañeros pues me lanzan ese resumen, ¿no? Esas jugadas de Lago Junior para pues hablar un poquito de él, porque como digo,
let's see if my colleagues can give me the summary of Lago Junior's recent plays. So if he does come on the pitch today to play, it will be his 200th match wearing a Mallorca shirt. Here it was, this is what we were talking about. And that kick, that just missed the post.
y oportunidad clara del Mallorca, el tiro sala y potente.
Obviously, it was a very clear opportunity for Mallorca. He saw it. He went there with all the potential. He was good in the match against Madrid. He was daring. He was daring to kick against the goal, but it was just unfortunate. We know that he has been affected by not seeing himself as not thinking that he was important in the team. So it is very important for him to come out today as well. Again, that was bad luck there. But sometimes it's those kind of kicks that in the end up in the back of the net. It's true what the coach said, though, that we came out with 6 goals under, but it is true that the Mallorca did fight. Just we weren't constant enough. We weren't consistent. Our defense wasn't good enough. We did commit some mistake. We did make some mistakes that were made completely by us. It was our fault. But we did have the chance to score more than 1 goal. So it is 1:20, and we're going tootsie. And after this break, we're going to come back with a warm-up from Mallorca team and a little bit of rhythm, because we are closer and closer all the time to the beginning of this match.
Déjate llevar por la compañía española con la que vuelan cada año más de 10 millones de pasajeros a más de 50 destinos en todo el mundo. Disfruta de la unión entre tecnología y confort que ofrecemos en nuestra renovada flota de aviones. Nos gustará verte pronto, muy pronto. Air Europa, cada detalle cuenta.
És el meu cor malferit que demana acció.
Un amor sense barreres davant meu ha cobrat vida.
Ja aviam què passa, ja aviam què passa. No sé què passa, ni per què passa, però sempre em passa.
Grupo Escribano. Somos especialistas en reformas y fachadas. Financia ahora al 100% y paga en 12 meses sin intereses. Para importes desde 200 euros hasta 200.000 euros. 0% TAE. Grupo Escribano.
Bueno, pues seguimos en directo desde el PC Mallorca Stadi en esta
Okay, so we're back live from Mallorca Stadium in this pre-match, which Mallorca is going to go up against Osasuna. Here's an image of our grass, which is waiting for the players to come onto the pitch, and around this time they always come on to start their warm-up. Little by little we see how the players are going towards the entry onto the pitch. You can see Luis Garcia talking to the director of sports and talking to some other technicians of secretary. And here they are, the Mallorca players coming onto the pitch to start their warm-up amid the applause from the audience. You can see these images live now, and here we go, we're starting the warm-up. We can imagine that in a few moments the Osasuna team will be doing the same. So we're remembering this lineup that we have today from Mallorca. This is the team that Luis Garcia has chosen under the orders of Felix Vicente, the physical trainer of the team. So we'll be talking about the match that the Mallorca team are going to be playing throughout today. So he is a player that has been growing immensely through Mallorca, and his football is much better in First Division than in Second Division. Yes, I think the explanation that for the reason, there are many, there are lots of theories. Personally, I gave mine. I think in First Division, Mallorca was such a potential team on the offense that he really does shine, and Baba is an expert with that. And I think he recovers many, many balls, and one of the most in La Liga. I think it's a great place for him to be as well, right in the middle of the pitch as well. So I think a more positional player such as Baba is much better to have in that first line. Hopefully he maintains that today in the match. Obviously it will be difficult because Osasuna is a physically very strong team. Lots of lung potential, lots of lung capacity, lots of muscle. So the defense from Mallorca is going to be very important. Also, Ferniño's entrance to the match today is going to be very important. That ability to maintain his back squared against that goal is going to be essential. One of the best things he does is that he really does stick it out with his back, helps his second line players. So let's see if that works here today. Yes, definitely. It's a team with a very strong offense. So we'll hope that this formula works today. Yes, here we're looking at Ferniño forward for Mallorca. Scored 1 goal this season, which allowed Mallorca to have a victory against Deportivo Alavés. Now that I'm talking about Alavés, so Alavés have just had a victory against Atlético de Madrid, which is quite a surprising result. Obviously, we always look at those teams that we think are going to be tough for us. Yes, it is. It's quite a surprising victory. I don't think anybody expected it. Along with Getafe, they're the only teams that hadn't won yet. So I think this will really serve them as a bit of a morale boost, really, a confidence boost. Because obviously they've been up against other rivals such as Osasuna even, and they haven't done very well. And for them to win against the champions is a morale boost for the players. So Espanyol have lost to Sevilla 2-0 as well.
La temporada pasada, pues que vuelve a cosechar otra derrota. El empate entre el Valencia y el Athletic Club de Bilbao. Ahí vemos a Kangin Lee. Hoy algunos
Bilbao, Atlético Club de Bilbao, and Valencia have drawn as well.
Alguno me he llevado también, seguro.
El equipo navarro que va a jugar con su segunda equipación de color verde. Evidentemente no puede por colores.
So they're playing with their second kit today. They can't play with their first one for obvious reasons. So they're going to be playing in this green color. So what do you think about Espanyol's defeat in Seville, Carlos? Yes, we've been saying it a lot. The 8 points that Mallorca have managed to get are very impressive. It's a lot of merits. And these results always demonstrate that there's nothing set in stone. It doesn't matter if you're playing away or you're going up against a superior or inferior rival that have the guaranteed 3 points. That's the beautiful thing about this competition. There is nothing guaranteed. And then something like this comes along and leaves you a bit speechless, really. So it's always the smaller teams that are the most humble teams, and that's where they can scrape, and that's where they can get in points, where you least expect it. It's a day of football that is going to serve as a reflection, and Mallorca needs to take advantage of this too. And as we've been saying, they have managed to get these points. So we're asking you, Carlos.
Como invitado de lujo. Vamos a hablar un poquito también de la figura del entrenador, ¿no? Porque ahora durante
So we're going to talk about the figure of the coach. So while we were watching the publicity now, you were talking about that they so you're actually thinking about becoming a coach that so many ex-players take. Yeah, that is an idea. I've started to train with the training program. And hopefully, I would love to be on the bench one day acting as a coach. It's one of my main aims right now. So you were saying earlier that when you were younger, you dreamt of playing in the Premier League, which you already did make a reality. So this is a new aim. Yes, it's completely. It's a new objective that I have, and it's a new area for me, somewhere to grow personally as well. And always with a goal in sight. Well, we can talk with the head of the training programs if they're very tough on you. We can say hi from here. Yes, please do that. We want our deadlines to be a bit more flexible this year, maybe. So if you're doing this intense course focused on ex-elite players that want to become coaches, who are you doing the course with? Well, I'm with one of your ex-players and one of my old colleagues. Zabaleta is there either. Gabi is there from Atlético Madrid. There's actually very renowned players there. Last year there was Eto, Márquez. There's Torres there as well. There's a good team that you can make out of those. It's like a team of legends. Yes.
Bueno, pero escúchame, bueno, tú que has estado en la Premier también y además le conoces bien, Chisco Muñoz.
So you coming from the Premier League as well, and you know him very well, Chisco Muñoz, right? Yes, he came up through Watford. He was a coach in the Premier League. And he actually came from coming in, was it in Georgia? No, it was in Georgia. Well, he's doing things very well, and as you see, he won La Liga, so...
es necesaria para poder conseguir estos éxitos.
Yo siempre pregunto, ¿no? Un poco a los que habéis sido jugador, se lo preguntaba.
I was asked ex-players. I was asking Vicente Ngonga as well. Because sometimes you look at a player and you think, oh, that guy would be a good coach. And then other times you look at a player and think, no, he's a great player, but he wouldn't serve as a coach. Yeah, I think sometimes you look at the defense players and midfielders and you think that they would become the best coaches because they're so used to watching the rest of the field and they're so used to helping the other players, and they've got that vision that you then need from the benches as well.
Llegó ahí a primera división con la Real Sociedad, ¿no? Evidentemente. Y luego, pues, dio ese pasito atrás, ¿no? Para irse a segunda con el Numancia, equipo que también tuve, evidentemente, con...
So one of the players from OSASUNA, who was in the honorary division with Real Sociedad, then kind of took a step back recently. And then came into OSASUNA in second division and now has brought it up to first division. Yeah, obviously last year there was a very difficult moment when they had 13-14 matches without a win. But when you know a little bit of the inside work that the coach is doing and how the team worked and carried on ahead, and he really knew how to turn the situation around, which is something quite strange. It's quite unusual with 13 defeats and Osasuna really struggling there. Then he, they supported him. They made him the president of the team. And they really did. They turned it around. I think he was the second or third team that got the most points after his change. Yes, this is different. Sometimes in England, for example, you can not win in a whole season, and still, if the players like you and the fans like you, you can still have their blind support. So what do you think of Luis Garcia? Good. I think he's a great coach. I think I've watched him through his Getafe and Levante periods. I think he's a good coach who likes the team to take control of the ball. I think for the players to have a coach who shows confidence in them and really lets you play and dare yourself, and other coaches don't and they hold you back, I think that makes you conscious, and it also makes you really enjoy the sport more. So here we can see Jaume Costa, another player who little by little is playing more and more minutes. This is now going to be his third match in the side left position. Mallorca has some really good side wingers. Yes, apart from the fact that I don't know if you think the same as me, but I think that when he has the ball, when he's in control of the ball, you feel kind of calm. He doesn't look like he's doubting whether to go forward or backwards. He seems very calm and very confident in what he's doing, and that's thanks to his experience in the first division, and also because of his experience, because of his age. It's a player who always just goes forward. And in the few matches that he's been playing because of his injury, I feel very convinced by him and everything he does and his decision making. I think he can play. important first division player. He really has convinced all of us of his potential and his talent, and he is doing very, very well in the side. So that's where they're going to have to handle themselves very well today in the changing rooms. It is true that when a player comes in and they do a couple of very good matches and they're getting results, yeah, it's a difficult thing to manage then. So obviously we're talking about the Bernabeu match as well, ended 6-1, and somebody needed to come and talk after the match, and Jaume Costa stepped up to that role. And the first thing he did was to Jaume Costa came up and said that he himself had made lots of mistakes in his own life, so that the midfielder that made a mistake in the Madrid match didn't need to receive that kind of criticism. Yeah, obviously, I think it's a mistake and it's a really bad accident, but I would much rather make a mistake by slipping than trying to do something that you don't know how to do and that you sabotage the team. I think it's just a very unfortunate episode in the sense that you slipped, and I don't think that it should affect him nor penalize the player at all. We're watching a documentary the other day, I'm not sure of the name right now, but and Rubén González, another Mallorca commentator, was talking about that he was in Madrid in that time, and he did a bad first half, and he was changed after 20 minutes, and there was that image of Rubén crying on the bench, and that really did affect him, and it really stayed with him. Yeah, that image sounds really familiar. Yeah. Yes, he also played for OSASUNA, not with me. In my case, I wasn't there at the time, but he's had a great career. Yeah, I think it's very important. I didn't know that anecdote of the fact that he came up and spoke after the match the other day. But I think that those experienced players really help when they do things like that. I was watching from the off when he made that mistake. The social media was really onto him about the fact that he'd made that mistake in front of such an important team. But it's what he says. It's a mistake that he couldn't control. It was bad luck. He slipped. But obviously, people are very unforgiving, especially in First Division. Obviously, you know where that left Benzema afterwards. But yeah, that's where the experienced players need to be too, to protect and to defend. And especially for this player as well, that still has a long journey ahead of him. Here we can see Jimmy Avila, who has a survival story as well. It's been a complicated road for him. He's had a lot of knee injuries. I remember a Movistar documentary about him. The documentary starts with him in the shower with all his tattoos that he has. Very spectacular image to start with. He's a very unpredictable player. He can go a bit mad. He can have a great day. He can have a terrible day. Yeah, he's a very dangerous player. Yes, he is. He's one of these heavyweight players. He never admits defeat. He's always going all out. He pushes you. He fights for every single ball. Even though there's a ball that looks like it's going to go out, but if you don't run, he's going to be there to stop it. He is going to be a warrior. There are a lot of Mallorca players that are going to have to watch out for him and also move the ball very quickly, because he's always there to catch the ball under pressure. We haven't talked much, but Brian Olivan is coming back to be in the center of the pitch. Seems that he does not have the right to have a holiday right now, or right to rest. No, he'll be fine. He's had an intense 2 or 3 day routine of massages and a spa, so he'll be fine. So Olivan has had to recover his role as a
A mí
midfielder.
me tocó vivir en Inglaterra justo lo opuesto de en Aston Villa. Llegué de
When I was in
central
Aston Villa, I had the other
y
thing.
llegué
I
en
was
ese equipo, empecé a jugar de lateral
I was a
derecho.
midfielder,
Estuve
and then
3
they
temporadas
put me on the right hand side, and I was there for 3 seasons, right, playing in that position, 3 whole seasons,
Por
and
la
it's a very
fisionomía del
difficult
lateral es más
thing.
fácil adaptarse a central
Maybe
y la
because of the
distrofía nuestra de
physical
central, que somos
aspect
grandes,
of
patas
these.
largas, un poco más lento, pues claro, de lateral es mucho más difícil. Pero bueno, yo creo que lo está haciendo bien, es
Obviously,
fácil
because of the long legs that you
de
need for that
adaptarse, quizá
position,
tenga que
it
tener más
becomes very
cuidado en eso que hablamos, en la
complicated. But I guess
circulación, en la
it's a
salida de balón,
question of
porque son jugadores
adaptation.
que están
He will
acostumbrados
need
a
to be better at
vivir más con el
circulating,
riesgo, a
moving
pasar
the
líneas
ball.
de presión conduciendo y en la zona esa central sabes que no te puedes permitir ningún fallo.
Es que, de hecho,
In
el
the
partido fuera
midfield,
de
you
central
know that
se lo
you
hizo muy
can't
bien,
afford to
el
make any
examen
mistakes when you're
lo
passing the
aprobó y con
ball.
nota, pero sí que es cierto que los primeros minutos tenía esa tendencia de irse para
I mean,
arriba.
when I did that exam, I passed it fine, but those first couple of minutes, it was extremely high pressure, and you were trying to maintain control of the ball.
Ahí le tenemos en imagen o le veíamos en imagen a Brian Olivan, que como decíamos iba a ser el central
Here we've got in the
del
image Brian Olivan, who, as we've said, will be the midfielder again with Martin Valle. Carlos, you were saying that it was difficult for midfielders to adjust to other positions.
Y poco más. Sí, sí, pero cuesta, sobre todo cuando
Yes, it is. It is difficult because you've got a offense mentality that's so that you're focused on the middle where you're not that much in contact of the ball. So as soon as you do get in contact with the ball, is to stream forward and go all out. And in this case, it becomes different. Then it's to maintain it, is to maintain possession. I think in this player in this case has a good physical condition, so he won't have any problems to maintain that.
Que estaban, como no, mirando el teléfono móvil, como hacemos todos, y quizá lo que estaban haciendo era participando también en nuestra porra, que ya sabéis que tenemos abierta la previa de los partidos. Podéis participar en esa porra de Scanshop, ahí le tenemos la gente con el teléfono móvil, ahí están seguramente participando.
We can see some of the members of the audience on their mobile phones, as we all do, but maybe they were also participating in our survey, which you're allowed to participate in until 2 p.m.
Tenéis que hacerlo, ya lo sabéis, a través del post en Twitter y en Instagram, y después cuando
you can do that over Twitter or Instagram, and then from all the people that gave the correct answer, which I imagine are many people, we'll proclaim a winner, which there's always different prizes every week. So I'm going to ask, let's talk about results predictions. I think I'm going to go with my home team. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's why we invited you, because otherwise Juanjo becomes a hooligan, so we needed to balance that out. So what do you think? I think it's going to be a 1-2. 1-2 to Osasuna for Carlos Cuellar.
No, yo creo que un 2-0 y con un golito en cada parte.
I think it's going to be a 2-0 to Mallorca, and there's going to be a goal in each half. So that's the prediction from Juanjo Dobla. So please participate in our competition until 2 p.m. on our social media, and you can also predict the result. And if you did get the right answer, obviously you're in the running to get some of the prizes on offer today. So let's look at Mallorca's bench again. Manolo Reina is going to be there on hand in case he needs to step in. De Graaf is coming in as the substitute goalkeeper. Franco Russo is going to be on the bench as well. Maybe he will be needed at some point. Jordi Mbola, and Abdon Brands is also, who did his 250th match the other day in his Mallorca team. Sanchez, Lago Junior, who today, if he comes on, will do his 200th match.
En principio, pues bastante recuperado, ¿no?, de esos problemas en el pubis. El norteamericano Hopi, que fue titular en el Santiago Bernabéu, hoy esperando su oportunidad.
Hope, who is also the new American player who is awaiting his opportunity to come on the pitch.
Bueno, pues preparados para aparecer en algún momento y bueno, pues fijando también un poco en el banquillo de de Osasuna también con jugadores pues importantes, como pues ya te digo,
And also let's take a look at Osasuna's bench as well. There are potential players there.
Pues, no sé,
They've got
Nacho
Kike
Vidal
García,
también, bueno, pues Robert Ibáñez, no sé, la verdad que tiene buenos jugadores.
Nacho Vidal and Ibáñez
Fondo
too.
de armario, sí, por suerte
They're
la
good
plantilla
players
bastante
on the bench as well.
compensada, tenemos 2 jugadores por
Yes,
puesto,
I
jugadores
think
que
we've got
incluso
quite a
pueden
compensated
jugar en
team.
varias demarcaciones, eso al final para
We've
para el
got players on the
entrenador
bench that can play in
muchas
various
posibilidades.
positions as well, which gives a lot of possibilities for the coach to move things around and play around a bit. I think we've got 2 quite similar benches in that sense. I think Mallorca has a really good variety of players. There are players that can play in several positions, and then players that really are really good at their particular position. I think we're still not great at receiving those air balls, but hopefully we manage today. But I think it's quite a balanced, 2 balanced teams. I think what you were saying about how Osasuna does with putting on really racking down the pressure is going to be difficult for them to do at 2 p.m. on this hot day. Yes, you are right. I think they're going to have to try and keep up that pressure and do a counter-attack because they're not going to be very comfortable in this heat and this humidity, or at least not as comfortable as Mallorca will be. Some teams have come here to do this high pressure and this, but then it's very difficult for them to maintain that physical strength. So we're in the last couple of seconds of Mallorca's warm-up. Osasuna has already left towards the changing rooms. And I think very soon Mallorca will be doing the same. Always in the last part of the warm-up, everybody greeting each other and going into their little routines that all the players have. The last couple of sprints, and then they will direct themselves towards the changing rooms to then come back out with their match kit. So in a couple of seconds, we're going to do a last publicity break. And then today we're going to settle down for the match commentary, which we've got ex-Mallorca player Juanjo Dobla and ex-Osasuna player Carlos Cuellar. So greetings from Mallorca Stadium. And Robert Sarver the other day gave his 150th celebration of Mallorca matches shirt to Aldon Prats. So isn't it nice to hear applause again from the audience? This is such a nice feeling. Yes, we can hear the applause from the audience. Little by little starts to fill up the Mallorca Stadium. So we're going to take advantage of this moment now to give a last publicity break, and then we'll be back with the match and the commentary box, which starts at 2 p.m, 7th leg of the league.